guys, and welcome back to another episode. For those new here, thank you so much for clicking. I am Cecilia Chopeta, and on this episode I will be showing you how to prepare some donuts in my very own way. So I used this cup to measure the flour, and I used 2 cups of those. Okay, you did not see that. And next you're gonna need some sugar, and I will let you know in the quantity to use while mixing it into the dough. Next you're gonna need some yeast, some eggs, and some baking powder. For this mix I will be using 2 eggs, some yeast. Okay, some people don't like putting yeast in their donut, but I like putting yeast in my donut because I like them to fura. So you can choose not to keep. You will also need some baking powder. For those in Kenya, I would recommend this brand. I don't think if there's any other brand out there, I don't know, but yeah, I will use the one I'm familiar with. Next you're gonna need some margarine, and I will be using this Blue Band, the normal Blue Band margarine, for baking my donuts. Next you're gonna need some milk, and this is warm milk. I like to mix my dough with warm milk, and also just to mix the yeast with warm milk. So yeah, that's it for the ingredients. So now we are in the mixing process, and I will just take my baking powder and I will pour in roughly 2 to 3 teaspoons of it. And yeah, don't mind the ones flying out, but in total I would recommend for you to pour in just 3 teaspoons would be enough. And that is it. So now I will place it aside, and don't mind me. Anyway, now I will place it aside, and then I will take an empty bowl, and then I'll just pour in some milk so that I can mix the yeast and the eggs and probably everything else. So then I will take my yeast, and for the yeast I will be using half of what is inside the sachet. And then I'll now place it aside. Then next I will let me just look for a spoon. I'll just mix it up so that it can mix well with the yeast. As I said, I would advise you to, if you're mixing the yeast, just make sure you either mix it with warm water or warm milk. Whatever you mix it with, it has to be warm, not hot, not cold, but warm. Yeah, so just try mixing and getting rid of these particles. Then next I'll just crack my 2 eggs into it. I would advise you to crack a side first, because you might end up cracking a rotten egg, but I just cracked it anyway. There was no egg that was spoiled, but still I would advise you to crack a side one at a time so that you don't end up getting a spoiled egg. So now I'll just mix my ingredients together. I think my mixture is now ready. So now next step, I'll just pour it into the baking powder and the flour mixture. Okay, and something else I actually forgot. The sugar is supposed to come in before this bits of the egg and yeast and milk. So it's supposed to be the baking powder, flour and sugar. You mix those three ingredients, then the next step is this step where you pour in the milk, the eggs and the yeast. So now I'll just try mixing the ingredients together. As you can see, I'm just basically just mixing the things in there. So now that everything is well mixed, I will now take my blue band, and I will be using 3 tablespoons of it. So now I will just mix the ingredients. I will mix the blue band with the rest of the ingredients, and then I will show you the next step. I actually remembered last minute that I forgot to put in the sugar in the beginning, but as I told you earlier on, it's supposed to be the flour, then the baking powder, then the sugar. Those three ingredients are the first one to mix in together. So now I will just pour in 4 tablespoons of sugar. Well, better late than never. So I'll just pour in the sugar and try to mix it. Why I wouldn't advise you to do it right now is because you end up feeling the particles at the end. That's why you're advised to do it like in the beginning. Either way, I had to uh, do my level best to make sure that doesn't happen. So now I will just mix everything. So now my final ingredient is going to be the milk, now that I have mixed everything else. So now I will just pour in the milk and try to make it into a dough. Now that my dough is ready, I'm just going to let it sit for like 15 minutes so that it can fura. So that it can fura. Okay, 15 minutes have passed, and this is how my dough now looks like. It's now soft, it's now fluffy, and imefura. So now I'll just cut it into two, and then I will show you what the next step is. So now you're going to need a rolling pin, and I will just apply some flour to mine because mine has recently been washed and sitaki equals sticky while I'm rolling. So now I would advise you next, you're just going to form a larger circle. Just roll it how you roll a chapati, but now this one should be a bit bigger so that you can cut out the donut circles. Alafu, something else that I would advise you is that don't musiskume your flour into a thinner, isikuwe nyembamba sana, cause zitakuwa donuts zako zitakuwa nyembamba instead of no, wajua zafa kufura ziwe na nyama, so don't roll your flour too much. So now next I'll just take my glass, and then I'll just try making some circles by pressing hard on the flour. So your circles should look something like this. So just cut all around, and then I will show you the next step. Now I'll just remove this extra layer of dough, and then now I'll just look for a bottle top so that I can make the middle circles. So now that that is done, I'll just take the remaining flour and just continue rolling it over and over and make more circles as I go. If another piece remains, just continue rolling it until the piece is over. Okay, now that my dough is over, I will just play around with what I am left with. As you can see, this is what is left, and I'll just make some mini twist out or braid it out. Yeah. So guys, I am done. As you can see, zimefura. Now I'll just prepare the oil and show you how I fry them. So now we are in the frying bit, and as you can see, mafuta yangu hajapata sana. I would advise you, if you are frying, make sure yasipate sana. Yakipata sana zitaungua ama zitafanya vipele vipele. So just make sure the oil is not too hot. As you can see, I'm dipping as they fry. It should not be too hot. Zitapata moto zikiendelea, but ukianza make sure mafuta hayajatokota sana, cause you'll end up burning your donuts. So when you're done dipping the donuts in the oil, just keep an eye on them. If they turn golden brown, just keep flipping them as you go along. So guys, so far so good. This is how my products this is how my donuts look like. I am impressed by the outcome. Thank you for staying this far. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up.